Christine, are you working from home? Are you going into the office?
Definitely working from home.
Yeah, because you're in Denver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got Andy in the library board who also works for Denver, and he said that you guys like through the first quarter, everybody's scheduled to stay home.
Yeah, and I had thought about it's water. Don't worry. I had thought about going in a little more regularly, but with all of the unrest downtown, makes sense right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. Just stay safe, stay home.
Yeah.
I haven't been down there. Is it pretty bad?
I haven't been down in a couple of weeks, but our building's still boarded. Hills is still boarded. City and county still boarded. So yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, we took down all of our statues.
Oh, great.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pain, but I guess you have to do what you have to do to prevent further vandalism or problems.
Yeah.
Hey, Councilmember Stone, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Good to hear. Sorry, I'm still in my work clothes.
That's okay.
Hello.
How you doing, Jim? Are you good?
I'm sorry.
Are you doing good?
I'm doing good.
Good.
I'm staying at home.
Perfect.
Mark looks like he's staying at home too. Yeah.
I am. I've been working from home. It's just seems like forever now.
I was going to let my hair keep growing till COVID was
That's what
gone.
I'm doing. I don't travel for work anymore, and
In
why
August,
take the risk of going to a barber shop?
yeah, especially now. Yeah, I have two former in-laws. They're still in-laws. Husband and wife both have COVID. Their daughter has COVID. Not good.
No.
Our Colorado Springs school has been shut down for about 4 weeks now, with no apprentices in it, because we had a minor outbreak. We were out for a week. We came back for 2 days, had another minor outbreak, gone for a week, came back in for 1 day, and now we're officially an outbreak site. And so we're now waiting on the county to tell us what we need to do. Probably going to be like a $20,000 cleaning of the facility in order for us to be able to open back up. And luckily we're HVAC guys, so we'll be able to do some of the work ourselves and just pay a few grand for the solvents and whatnot. But it's still going to be. But I'm worried that we've got apprentices that are going to miss out on raises and education and upgrades, and it's going to have a major impact on about 100 workers.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, they shut down a multi-million-dollar job site in the Springs just about a month ago because of a COVID outbreak, where we had 20 workers on that job site alone, just us, just our trade. It was probably about 150 workers on that job site. So, yeah, it's real.
Yeah, Gary, Inglewood School District's doing pretty well, aren't they?
We were doing pretty good. We are on rolling remote right now.
Yeah.
Right.
But we got shut down due to the county numbers, not for the district numbers.
Right.
Right. And what is it until Thanksgiving? And I'll bet by then it'll say for the rest of the semester. I mean, that's what a bunch of the other districts have done.
Yeah.
Maybe, we've got to be thankful that we've had a couple months of solid in-person learning. And I think that benefited the kids more than anything. You know, and let's hope we can get back to school, you know.
Yeah,
Let's hope not we're taking the whole semester off, and hope we can get this under wraps and, you know, get a little control back in our lives.
I know. My
Well, it's past the half
grandson-
hour. We probably ought to go ahead and start with our agenda, not to cut conversation short.
Okay,
Mark, would you like me to share the agenda?
Yeah, that would be helpful. I know I have it open somewhere on my machine, but rather than hunting around, I might as well.
I've got it ready.
Thanks. So, yeah, well, we will, of course, begin with the roll call.
All right, it's 5:33. Chair Mark Husbands,
Present.
Vice Chair Christine Adams,
Present.
Monica Johnson has not, let me just check, has not joined in. Karen Miller has not joined in. Kate Truesdale,
Present.
Jim Woodward,
here,
Stephen Young has not joined in. Gary Manfrey,
Present.
Councilmember John Stone.
Present?
Staff, we have Christina Underhill and Dave Lee. And we do have Paul Rogala, who has joined as an attendee.
Okay, well, that leads us to the minutes. So does anyone have any corrections or comments on the minutes from our October 8th meeting?
I'll
If
go
no
ahead and
comments or
move.
corrections, move. Go ahead, Jim.
I'll move the minutes of October 8th.
We have a second. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, please say aye.
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 All opposed? I think we have moved the minutes. Debbie, if you don't mind scrolling down just till, there we go.
Yeah.
Did Paul indicate that he wanted to offer comment to the commission at this time?
He has not, I've unmuted him. If
Okay,
No, I didn't. I didn't especially have any comment unless something comes up during the off-leash discussion later on.
Certainly you can offer your input at that time.
Yeah.
Can we go up? Oh. Okay, so that leads us to the handbook, I believe, if I'm reading the agenda right.
That does. So this will be quick. You should have all received the board and commission handbook. It was recently updated and sent out to all our boards and commissions for review. So it's draft currently. Please review that. If you have any comments, questions, changes that you see need to be made, please let either myself or Debbie know, and we'll get those over to the city clerks. I believe they want this handbook to maybe go to council, I think in January or February. So if you can do a review by the end of this month and get any changes you'd recommend or any questions you have before December's meeting or at December's meeting, we'd love to take them.
So Christina, I had one question because when I read through it, I saw that terms were 4 years. I believe that when I signed up, I thought it was 5 years. So that was just one like little thing that I noticed and saw an inconsistency in.
Okay, we'll make a note of that and bring that up to them so they can review that.
Okay, I'm fine with 5 or 4 years. That's just the one thing that I saw that was a little different.
Okay, perfect.
Does anyone else have any questions at this time or even comments on the handbook? Have they looked at it? I'll confess that I really haven't, so I don't have any.
That's why I gave you till December.
I know. It's good.
I didn't know that.
Appreciate
I-
Big, big wide open window.
I'll look at it a little bit closer. I do appreciate having that because I
Mhm.
did that when I started. So I think this will be really great.
Yeah, and they're like, I think I've mentioned to this group before, but we'll most likely have just a brief training and it'll be virtual or a recorded video for you all sometime in 2021. I think it'll be helpful for new board members or commission members who have never served on one before to really understand how they function. I know sometimes it's confusing. Everybody wants to do really good for their city and then they get on a board and be like, wait, what? We can't make all the decisions? It's like, no, not quite. So yeah, so take over, look at that and in December, let us know or before.
Okay, thank you. Well, Christina, maybe you should just keep going with the subcommittee, off-leash subcommittee update.
Yeah, this probably won't be 5 to 8 minutes. It'll be fairly brief. I don't really have much to report other than we had our final 4th meeting. It was our 4th one a couple of weeks back, and Steve with Finding Solutions, who's our moderator, is going through all the meetings and the notes that have been taken and really working to find somewhat of a consensus for this task force that he plans on sending out here, I believe, before the next meeting, which is going to be December 1st at 5:30. And just to meet with the task force one more time to make sure everybody may not agree with it, but we can live with the results of this. Now it's going to go to council after that. We don't know the council date yet. We were hoping to go by the end of December, but we're very limited on council meetings that are left for this year. So it could be as early as January. In one of those meetings that will take the recommendations there. We are working with POCO, who does statistically valid surveys for municipalities. And we are planning on sending a survey out to the community. Not everybody will receive it. We're still waiting to get some more information from POCO on how they can administer the survey to get the results we need. So council will have direction or idea of what the community is looking for. This is a tough topic, as you all know. It's been around for many years, and we'd like to get something to the community, a program that people can live with and still enjoy our parks. So we don't know where it's all headed yet and what council will decide in the end or what the survey results will be. But again, we're hoping to have the bulk of everything wrapped up by the end of December, and it'll roll somewhat into January with potentially survey results. The holidays always play a little bit of a challenge into doing anything because people are, gone away out of town or whatever it may be. So I hopefully will hear back from the survey company this week or early next, so we know how to proceed and what the price tag is on doing that survey. But this is definitely a topic we're willing to spend money. We're committed to spend money to get what we need so council can make a good decision moving forward. So
And I'm sorry, my computer glitched out a little bit there for a minute, but will we have a chance to kind of get a little bit of information about their sampling methods? I think it's interesting that these little surveys get done a lot of times and they're not really scientific surveys. So if they have a method for doing that in a way that is a scientific survey method, I'd be interested in seeing it. And I imagine
okay. Yeah, definitely. We'll most likely run the questions that we're proposing past this commission as well as the task force. The plan is to send it to council too to get some feedback. We want to make sure we get everything covered, and in the end, there's no questions like why didn't we ask this or why didn't we find out more about that? Because as staff, we're limited on how far we can go, and we don't think of everything, and that's why we all rely on you too to give us some feedback. So it'll probably be an email that goes out with the survey so you can review. If we have that by our December meeting, we'll put that on the agenda to discuss in further depth. But again, we'll look for feedback. And when I get the information from the company, Mark, I'll make sure to include that so everybody knows how we're doing it. But that was a big point I made to them, is it has to be statistically valid. It can't be duplicated. Like, it can't be a Survey Monkey type survey that goes out and you can share it on Facebook or email it to all your friends. And we want to make sure it's limited to Inglewood residents, to specific homes that are near parks, because those are the people that are going to be impacted more than anyone else on whatever the final results are going to be.
Yeah, so I think that's actually something that is very important to consider, is what population are you trying to generalize to? Because it has, that obviously influences the sample size that you need to get. And if you're going to sample randomly in the entire set of Inglewood residents, then you need to get a really large sample size if you're going to do, create subpopulations to analyze, like park users. And I'm just curious how they're going to go about it and who they're trying to represent exactly. There's some interesting questions there.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that 100%. This is a challenge. I'm not an expert in surveying, but they are. And so we put it on them we've told them what we wanted and how what results we hope to see as far as the sampling size and making sure it's statistically valid. So there's no holes in it. And that's the goal. And we'll see if they can do that. And if they can't, we'll hit the drawing board again and figure out what other options are out there for us to move forward with this topic. Again, Dave and I have talked. There's really no huge rush in this. Council's made it clear that they want to keep the off-leash program as is until COVID subsides. We know people need to use our parks and want to get out with their dogs and everything. And I would agree with that. This is a stressful time for everybody, and this could be a huge change in somebody's life. We know this is a very loved program. People love taking their dogs to the park. There's a social aspect to that. And honestly, we won't be able to get fences up within a week once the decision's made. It's going to be a phased approach. And so we want to get this right so we're not all dealing with this for another 18 years and people can be happy coming to our parks whether they have a dog or not. So that's really the goal, is to get this right so we can all move on to park renovations and fun stuff like building skate parks and new playgrounds.
I certainly agree that, it's much more important to have a long range plan that is a workable one than to act quickly. And in terms of things that the city could implement in the near term, we already know that there's a few actions that the city could take that probably fit in to just about any long range plan that they could start working on. So yeah, I agree that it's better to be cautious about agreeing on sort of that real future outlook
Sure.
than it is to just get working. So thank you for that.
I have a question. I've seen the recommendations to the subcommittee, but are we going to look at it collectively as this commission? I would love to share it with like Christine and Jim, especially because Jim was around since the beginning of the dog program. And I think it would be great to get his feedback on the proposed changes.
Yeah, we could easily add this into the December agenda because December 1st we'll have the task force recommendations or the consensus for the most part, hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be
is
awesome.
the goal. So yeah, let's add it on the December agenda, and I'd be happy, Kate or Mark, if anybody else wants to give the report, we can do it that way, or I'd be happy to do it, or Dave too. So yeah, let's do that today.
Yeah, if you can, I think you could definitely do it best. Like I said, Jim, we've all been through this together so much that I think we should try to like get everyone's feedback and just thoughts too.
I agree. I think that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate. I appreciate the work of the subcommittee because you guys have done all of the heavy lifting on this, but I just feel like as we are appointed by city council, I definitely like to see it before it goes to city council. So I definitely appreciate seeing it in December. So thank you.
So one other question I have, again, I know I've sort of asked this in the past, but this is not the recommendation that comes out of the subcommittee is, one through the lens of our facilitator. And but let's say it represents the subcommittee in some manner, but it doesn't really represent the commission. So because most of the commission members really have not been brought along on what's in the proposal. So is there some process for determining whether the commission supports the subcommittee's proposal? I guess I'm not that clear on that aspect.
Yeah, typically what we would do is we present it to you all and you can review it, make your comments. If you're in agreement with it and support it, you can vote and say we support this.
Okay.
And then when we go to council, we can let them know the Parks and Rec Commission's reviewed this and they do agree with the recommendations, or they don't agree completely with everything and X, Y, and Z is how they would recommend moving forward. Again, council could look at everything we put together and choose to go a different direction if they wanted to as well. So I think everybody's input is very valuable, and knowing the commission supports or proposes something differently will also be very valuable going to council when it does get presented to them.
Can I make a point and just make a recommendation with it? I was by Jason last night or yesterday afternoon, and I'm guessing there was probably at least 30 people out there in the main part of the park. And in just driving by, and I thought, oh, that's great. A lot of people are utilizing it, and they were on the other side of the basketball court also. But I noticed on the big part, it looked like it did a couple years ago. And I think Dave can talk about this. When we had the drought conditions, and it was looking like, it kind of looks worn
Threadbare.
from Jason Street driving past. And knowing that what can happen to that, I think in the recommendation or the task force, something to add that probably wasn't addressed was what happens during drought conditions and the closing down of the off-leash privileges for a couple weeks, or, you know, hopefully before it's damaged where it has to go through what it did 2 years ago, which was totally fencing it up and reseeding and fertilizing. I don't know, maybe Dave can address that more. Maybe that's been discussed.
Well, I was going to discuss that under staff's choice, but I'll do that right now, Jim, for you. First off, what I was going to tell the commission is I was out there a few weeks ago and am pretty concerned with the conditions of the turf at Jason. In general, there are large weed patches. We've had a very hot, dry summer. We're having a very dry fall. Grass is going into dormancy. And I can't predict, I don't have a crystal ball, but my guess is that we will have to close Jason Park, the main portion of it, again in the spring, much like we did 2 years ago, Jim. Now, to get back to your question or circle back around, if there are fenced-in dog parks, we had written in there that there would be closures, both short-term, meaning we have to go in and mow, repair the irrigation, which would be on a weekly basis, pick up trash, string trim, things like that. And there also would likely be long-term closures because once what we're looking at are smaller parcels, I guess, is what I want to say, from Jason in its entirety. And that being said, we probably will periodically have to enclose or close any of the fenced-in dog parks that we come up with or that council approves.
I think that's great. I mean, I think that's, you know, notifying in the recommendation or whatever, that's perfect. Because unfortunately, I think with climate change or whatever, we're going to be looking at it more so in the future now.
Agreed. Anything else I can answer along those lines from anybody?
If not, I think we've arrived at staff's choice anyway. So do you have any other items, Dave?
Yes, I do. I just wanted to bring to the commission's attention Romans Park improvements. Phase 1 is nearing completion. That was our $500,000 grant. We have new tennis courts out there. The playgrounds, a number of other things will be done here by Thanksgiving, barring any unforeseen weather. We also put out to bid Romans Park Phase 2 improvements. Arapahoe County had given us a $350,000 grant for Phase 2 in August. That went out to bid. We had 11 bidders, which is really great news. And the low bidder is the same contract that is now doing the Phase 1 improvements, which is Singing Hills. So basically, they'll be picking up where they left off in the spring and finishing out Phase 2 improvements, which are going to be the picnic shelter, ADA walkways to get over the berm on the west side, a new restroom, outdoor fitness equipment, a slack line, and a basketball court. So that's the one thing that I wanted to bring up. We are also looking at compiling a new grant in 2021 to do more Phase 2 improvements to Jason Park. And we're looking at a new picnic shelter, a new basketball court, and a new restroom in that park, which will pretty much complete the improvements that we need, other than an irrigation system in Jason Park, if we're successful with the grant application. And then lastly, one thing I wanted to bring up was, in the past, our December meeting has been canceled. However, I understand there may be some extenuating circumstances with the off-leash task force that we may want to meet, but that's something that the commission needs to discuss on whether they want to hold a meeting in December or whether they want to wait until January. So that's all that I have.
And the only thing I'll add in
What are
is
your
we have
thoughts on the
holiday.
meeting?
Oh, yeah, let's do that first and figure that out.
I do think there's a fair bit going on, and so if we want to have a focused meeting on that bit of old business, I think everyone's pretty much home for the most part anyway. We can probably pull off a Zoom call.
I concur. I was going to say, I'm literally not going anywhere. So sure.
Yep. Yep.
Let's
And
do it.
yep.
Is everybody?
This is my social life, so I'm all for it.
You're a fan. Yeah, that doesn't seem like something we need to vote on. It just sounds like if we have the agenda items, we can just plan on having a meeting. Okay. Christina, I think you're the only other staff
Yeah.
in here.
The only thing is Holiday Express, we are still planning on doing that. It will be very limited. We're waiting to hear back from Tri-County Health to make sure we can move forward, but staff are planning to have it. I think it's 90 people an hour, mask required. It's scaled back quite significantly as far as you'll be taking home a lot of the stuff versus doing it while you're there. So like the crafts and the s'mores, the hot chocolate, just to keep everything safe and keep people's masks on while they're attending. But we will have Santa and the train will be open and there'll be some other fun things going on. So as of right now, it's still a go. Tickets are on sale. We've sold out six, I think, time slots already, which is great. If for some reason it gets canceled, you will get refunds. So if you want to do that with your family, go ahead and get signed up. It's on our website, Facebook, and all. So should be fun, and fingers crossed we get to do it. It might feel a little more normal for the holiday season if we can pull it off.
Okay, thanks.
How socially distanced on the train, how does that work? Is it every other seat that you sit in, or?
Yeah, so this summer they kind of got to do a test run with the train and socially distancing, and it's every other seat. So you'll sit with your family members, but then we'll space out the individuals on the train as best as possible. And that's how we pulled it off this summer, and that would be the plan for the Holiday Express too.
Great.
Okay, well, is there anything else? I think that's it for staff. Then we can go to commissioners. Kate, let's start with you. Do you have anything for the group?
No, just I hope you all have lovely Thanksgivings.
Thank you. Jim.
Yes, I only have one thing, and that is asking Debbie if she could provide us with just a list of our members and our expiration dates. I'm kind of thinking this week, I don't know when my expiration is, and I don't know if, Debbie, in the past, you've notified us. I'm just kind of at a loss now, knowing when. I don't see it on the website. And
I will do a roster that will have your expiration dates. When you do have a term that is coming up to expire, we get notice from the city clerk's office, and then we notify you. So I'll get that information out to you, just so you know.
Great, thank you.
And Christine.
I don't have anything.
Okay, Gary.
Nothing this evening.
All right, thanks, Gary. And John.
I just want to say thank you to Dave and to our staff. Romans Park is looking great. I drove by on Tuesday. A good portion of the children's playground is up. It looks really cool. It's like got some really cool themes going on, and it's very artistic. So I'm really excited about it. I like to spend a lot of time at Romans Park, so it's kind of been very, very nice for me to see this place just like, you know, revitalized, if you will, you know. It looks really great, so I'm really happy about that. And I really appreciate all the folks that have spent so much time on the Off-Leash committee task force. Appreciate all the extra time that you guys have been putting into that. I know that it has been work. And I know because we get calls and emails every time you guys have a meeting. So I appreciate your work on that. I know you guys have been really diligent. So thank you. That's it for me.
Thank you. Well, I think that's everyone. So unless I missed someone or anyone else has anything else to add, I think we can adjourn. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, folks, very much.
Have a good
Bye,
Thanksgiving.
Thank you all.
everyone.
Have a good
See you
Thanksgiving.
later.
Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.